name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guests Elisa Sunga and Danny Knight. Elisa is a UX user experience program manager at Google, and she's also the founder of Cake Picnic, a vibrant community-driven event that brings together cake enthusiasts to share and celebrate a diverse array of cakes. During the program, we're learning why and how Cake Picnic came about and how it's grown, developed, and operates today. Let's start by meeting Elisa and Danny and then finding out all about this delicious and whimsical initiative that's already brought great fun and joy to thousands with no end in sight to its growth and impact. Welcome, both of you. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you for having us, Jay.
Yeah, thank you for just even reaching out to us.
You know, before we jump right in and hear all about some of the unique features of Cake Picnic, I think it would be of interest if each of you would just very briefly share a little bit about your background, and then we'll spend the rest of the time on Cake Picnic. Elisa, would you please start?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. My name's Elisa. I am a UX program manager at Google. I've been there for almost 10 years now, working on our community and culture initiatives, which I really love. And outside of that, I am a home baker. I started baking in March 2020 during the pandemic, baked a lot of sourdough loaves, eventually made my way to the world of cakes. And last year, I started Cake Picnic because I really love cake.
Enough said, for sure. Danny, welcome. A little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Danny Knight. I'm the VP of Partnerships and Marketing at Cake Picnic. I help drive brand growth, build strategies for like collaborations, and then create like marketing initiatives to like rapidly expand event platforms. Um, Outside of Cake Picnic, I'm a caregiver. I caregive for my stepfather. He's a Vietnam vet, PTSD, and I help my mom take care of him. Before that, I was working as a cost estimator at Mare Island Dry Dock. So I would develop project bids and budgets for like large ships and have repairs and industrial projects basically created and bidded to help do the repairs for them.
Wow. Well, as we'll soon hear and see, with marketing in mind, you've been very busy and very successful just this past year. So let's move on and hear more, Elisa, about Cake Picnic. When you had the idea, you wanted to eat cake, but probably a lot of us feel the same way. But what jumped off to starting this phenomenon?
Yes, I think I was inspired by a lot of different things. Throughout my years of baking since 2020, I've gone and met a lot of friends from the internet, and we've gotten together in various cities. For whenever I traveled to LA and New York, we would get together and eat pastries. And so along the way, started to build this muscle of, oh, you can put together an invitation and people will come. And so I think that eventually reached the point of, oh, I was very comfortable doing it. And with my voracious appetite for cake, had the idea of, okay, if I put an invitation and made it a requirement for people to bring a whole cake, people will probably come. I mean, I couldn't guarantee it, but I was hoping for at least 15 people to come and bring cake. And at the very least, we would have 15. And even then, that would be already an incredible amount of cake.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Can you take us back? I know it's just a year now. It's incredible to believe what you've evolved to over that time, celebrating, I think yesterday, the 1 year anniversary of the first picnic in San Francisco that we're fortunate to have some images of. Can you share just what that experience was like that day, what you can remember?
Oh, it's so beautiful looking at these photos exactly a year ago today because at that time, Jay, Danny and I had no idea that it was going to start anything, that it was going to be more than 15 people. Even on the day of this picnic here that you're showing, because we were just had soft RSVPs, I wasn't sure who was actually going to come. And
Mm.
so at the start time of the event, around like 11 a.m., I had no idea if it was going to just be me, Danny, and my family, or would everyone who said they would come would actually show up. And so, to our wonderful surprise and delight, most people came. I think our final number of cakes and friends that arrived that day was 183 cakes. And so
Wow.
it's such a wild dream to go from, I hope some people come, maybe 15, to all the way to 183 for our very first cake picnic.
You know, 15 is probably manageable, like having a group of friends or family over for an event. But even pushing it now close to 200, could you share a little bit of the logistics? How do you organize something like that that's mushroomed fivefold most recently? But just this one, how did you go about all the logistics and planning?
Yeah, so I think one of the most challenging parts about it, like I mentioned earlier, was I wasn't sure how many people were actually going to come. And so myself and Alex, who helped with the event planning and design of this event. So shout out to Alex and Zaddy Blooms for really the beautiful design and setup of this event. I think they brought in such beautiful design and decor that really elevated this first cake picnic because in my mind, Jay, it was just, we would put cakes on the ground on our picnic blankets, form a circle. But with Alex and Daddy Blooms, we were really able to elevate this to such a beautiful experience where there was a flow of like where the tables and the cakes were set up and all the way to just the experience of grabbing cake. So in the very beginning, planning was very difficult of like how do you take this like picnic potluck idea and when it grows to almost 200 people, how do you organize and set everything up so that there is structure and organization, but also it looks beautiful? So, definitely with the help of Alex and Daddy Blooms, we were able to elevate the event, make sure that it was more than just like cakes on the grass.
How'd you come up with the fun rule, no cake, no entry?
Yes. So at the concept of the event, the requirement is everyone must bring a whole cake. But I kept receiving questions of, does my plus one need to bring a cake? Does my mom need to bring a cake? Does my child need to bring a cake? Does my like family friend need to bring a cake? And so I just had to keep explaining to everyone, like, if you're coming, you have to bring a cake. You can't show up empty-handed. And so I just had and Danny keeps reminding me that no one reads anything. And so I was like, okay, how do I boil this down into just its purest essence of like, if you don't have a cake, you can't enter. And so that just it went from like, if you're going, you have to bring a cake. If you're attending, you have to bring a cake. And just like removing words until we just really landed on no cake, no entry.
Nice. Danny, when did you enter the picture and what was the attraction for you?
Well, actually, Elisa and I are been dating for 2 years, but we've known each other for over 20 plus years.
Mm,
Our parents worked together. So my stepdad was a special ed teacher, and then her mom was his aide. And so we got to meet each other at a really young age.
yeah.
And while we were dating, yeah, Elisa just wanted to create an event where she could have cake. And we didn't know it was going to blow up as quickly as it did and how much joy it brought to a lot of people. Originally, I thought we were supposed to have like 20 or 30 people. And then
Yeah.
yeah, when we had that first event, all these people came. And I remember just like standing there with her dad and her mom, just like looking at like the crowd and saying, like, wow, this is incredible. It's insane how many people. There are literally people walking with casts and holding cake in their hand in line to set it on the table and take pictures of it. And I was just like, wow, this is insane.
That's fabulous. Elisa, what do you think it is about cake that makes it such a powerful attraction? Maybe more than any other food dessert.
Yeah, Danny and I chat about this a lot. And when you boil or when you look at cake, it's butter, sugar, chocolate, like flowers. It's all of the good things in life.
Say no
And
more. Yeah.
yeah, so when you think about it in that way, you're like, yes, of course people are into it. Of course, that's why hundreds and hundreds of people sign up for this thing because at its core, it's pure joy.
It's fabulous. I mean, these creations, they all look so amazing too. Um,
Mhm.
I know if I had to participate, which I would gladly do and hope you make it to the Boston area, um, personally, I would lean towards something nice but store-bought myself. But these are incredible creations. I mean, just the range. Now that you've done several different events, what are some that maybe, I know this is hard because it's like choosing maybe a favorite child. What are some that really stand out, either taste or presentation?
Yes, definitely a lot of showstopper cakes. A lot of my favorites were several, Jay. It's hard. This is a very hard question. Like from New York, my friend Ryan made a beautiful funfetti masterpiece, and I don't even know how he managed to take that through a cab all through Manhattan and get that to the event. But it was beautiful, and just everyone loved that cake. Recently, my friend Dominic also made a funfetti carrot cake, which was just so beautiful with a fig leaf buttercream.
Mm.
My friend Nadine flew all the way from Hawaii to join a cake picnic event, and she made a guava funfetti cake with a lime cheesecake filling. It's as delicious as it sounds, Jay.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Danny, one or two that stand out for you?
I think Princess Cake stands out to me the most. I actually got to taste it for the first time yesterday. Um, when we did our LA cake picnic date, there was a Fox News cameraman that was there, and he was from Sweden, and he had told me that he was looking for Princess Cake, and every time he takes a bite out of it, it just reminds him of home. And ever since he told me that, I've been on like the search for Princess Cake at every one of our events. At the last one at the Legion of Honor on March 29th, I did see one. I just never was able to grab a slice because it was gone. But I ended up having like a small bite yesterday because Elisa managed to cut a slice.
That's great. That's great. Speaking of that, how does it work when you bring your cake and everything's set up? Actually, before we even hear some of the logistics, what's it like seeing these hundreds of cakes just sitting there before people enter and start taking slices? Alisa?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful moment because ultimately these cakes are art pieces. And actually, from one of the first SF Cake Picnic, I remember an attendee coming up to me and saying, "Wow, I feel like I'm in an art gallery looking at art." And so when he told shared that with me, I had a moment of I was like, "You're right. How could we cut into these masterpieces? That's wrong. Like we shouldn't. We should just sit here and just take it all in its full glory and admire them as is." And so it's very mesmerizing of just seeing all of the different shapes from like heart shapes, rectangle, multi-tier, dome cakes, and it's just such a beautiful, sweet chaos that you just have to sit there, take as many videos and photos as you can because the moment doesn't last. As much as we want to keep them in their pristine glory, we also want to devour everything.
For sure. Sweet chaos. What a wonderful phrase there. Speaking of art, your biggest event so far that you referred to just last month, a few weeks ago in San Francisco at the Legion of Honor was connected to a well-known artist. Could you share that wonderful natural connection?
Yeah, so early this year, the Legion of Honor Museum reached out to Danny and I because they had a new exhibit coming for Wayne Thiebaud, and Wayne Thiebaud and his art, known iconically for a lot of cakes, pastries, confections. And so to the museum, it was such a wonderful extension of the exhibit to have another cake picnic. And so they reached out, and at that time, Jay, I was still recovering from the November cake picnic where we had 600 cakes. So I had the intentions of not even having another cake picnic in the beginning of the year, but when the opportunity to have another cake picnic to honor and celebrate Wayne Thiebaud's work came around, I couldn't say no. It just seemed like it would be wrong to say no to having a cake picnic to that. And so it was a wonderful alignment and very difficult to say no. And so I didn't. I said, yes, let's do another cake picnic.
That's great. Yeah, I hadn't been familiar with his work, but after reading about the connection, went online and what a wonderful matching. It couldn't be any better, the two of you together like this and the grand setting. Over 1,000 people and cakes at that time. Unbelievable. And just a range of individuals here, as we can see, enjoying it. And that's another question. Do people bring their own containers, boxes, or do you provide them? How does that work, Danny?
So we actually provide the boxes. So as soon as you get your wristband and put down your cake, you get a box, and then you go in your picnic area, and then from there you wait for your group number to be called or group color to be called.
Yeah, it's also fun. You'll see here some people have Tupperwares because Jay, people don't believe me, but there is so much extra cake. Like I think in the beginning, as people are waiting to cut into the cakes, they're not sure, if they're in the last group, will they have cake left? Like that
Yeah.
you will have cake. And so I recommend everyone coming to a cake picnic to bring your own Tupperware so that you can bring more cake. We only give you like a certain size of pastry box, but you can take home more. You can go back for seconds, thirds, and fourth. We ultimately don't want any cake left over at all. So people bring Tupperwares as well.
You mentioned, Elisa, that you're a home baker, and I know one of your ventures, I believe even before this, was something salted rye. Would you just say
Mhm.
a quick word about what that entails?
Yeah, Salted Rye is my personal baking blog or portfolio, and I use it as my kind of baking outlet where I share all of the things that I bake. So if you think about it, Salted Rye is me on the internet as a baker, and
Mhm.
then Cake Picnic is the gathering of all cakes at the events.
Nice, nice, nice. We're going to move on to, I believe, was the second one in Los Angeles, just a few months after the San Francisco event. Um, Danny, anything noticeable between the two? Maybe both even from the planning standpoint or the type of cakes that were presented
Between the New York and San Francisco?
between San Francisco and Los Angeles?
Oh, between San Francisco and Los Angeles. Um, to be honest, it's every event is slightly different.
Could
And
you,
it's something that we have to like get adjusted to. After the Legion of Honor last month, we did one at the Flower Fields in Carlsbad. And that event itself was completely different from all the other ones that we were doing. So logistics is always a little bit different, and we have different volunteers for every city. So luckily, I'm always really surprised at the end of the event how well it goes. Because that I'm always waiting for something bad to happen. That's just me being cautious because I'm used to things going wrong. But surprisingly, every event so far has gone right. And it's wild too, but I think a huge reason why is that the majority of people just come because they really want to see the cakes and just be around all the beauty and want to make sure like they're dedicated as much as we are at the events, even though they're just volunteers. They want to make sure that all this stuff goes right.
speaking of that, would you either of you share a little bit more about the role of volunteers? What goes into pulling these off? I mean, you're both in charge from top down with the planning and execution, but to pull these off, especially the hundreds and hundreds of people and cakes, need a lot of assistance. How does that work?
Yeah, definitely. Like none of the cake picnic events would have been possible without the volunteers. So even for the first San Francisco one, which at this point is our smallest cake picnic, even for that one, volunteers were so critical in terms of just helping organize the supplies, the flow of the event, because as you can imagine, when you have an event with hundreds and hundreds of people, you do need people to kind of help answer questions, herd people the right way, and just move things along. Otherwise, it would just be so chaotic. And so, with each event, we have more and more volunteers. Like for the most recent San Francisco one, where there was almost 1,400 cakes, I believe we had almost 80 volunteers. And
Mm,
that is just the people that have submitted our volunteer form on the website and have expressed like how interested they are in helping Cake Picnic. And we are so lucky because there's thousands and thousands of people that have volunteered. And so it's been great because otherwise none of these events would be possible without the volunteers.
for sure, for sure. You know, when you think of the different events that have happened just in this past year, are there any funny or touching moments in particular that stand out that either of you could share with us?
So many. I think for me, one of the highlights is people travel to come to a cake picnic. So people take flights, like I think from New York, from Seattle, from LA. Just it's incredible that people will do that. They also take trains and drive hours just to attend. And I think time is so precious these days, and there's so many options of things to do that if you're willing to travel and dedicate so much resources into attending a cake picnic, I think that speaks volumes in terms of like how impactful this event is. But there's also so many stories that come through my email of whole families going and just babies and how, incredible the event was. And so I think just all of the personal moments that people have with their cake journey and bringing that to cake picnic has been wonderful to see and experience.
And we can see you here enjoying a wonderful range of selections there and eyeing some more too. Who wouldn't?
I know, look at me. Look how sugar fiendish I look.
Well, yeah, I think in addition to the cake attraction, which I think appeals to just about anybody, I think this taps into to just our need as a society, maybe for just some fun, somewhat, as I
Mm,
said in the introduction, whimsical, maybe frivolous experience, given a lot of the other things that most of us are experiencing these days, either locally or beyond. So here, what a wonderful selection somebody's going to enjoy taking home. These are incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree to what you were saying. As you mentioned before about COVID, before the interview, one thing I did realize is that COVID really did mess a lot of things up. And I go to community college studying electrical and computer engineering, and I'm around a lot of the younger generation. One thing I've learned too is that a lot of them aren't drinking and they're always looking for something to do over the weekends. And after COVID, that really just cut out all those little activities. And they're constantly looking for something where they could go to. There's a huge loneliness epidemic going
Mm,
on with the younger generation. There are a lot of kids that don't even know how to talk to each other. And unless you went to high school with them, that's really the only group that you have to hang out with. But going out and doing stuff, like movie theaters nowadays are kind of dying.
that's very
Elisa and I drive past a bunch all the time. We always see how they're like boards basically put up because they're going out of business. And talking to a few of my classmates that have actually gone to the events, they've told me like this is like a dream come true as like this is something that they always wanted as like a little girl, you know. One of my classmates is actually Ukrainian and she came from Ukraine to the United States and she told me as a girl she always wanted it to go to something like this. And she's like it's a dream come true. So just hearing stuff like that, I'm just like, wow, I never realized it would have that type of impact.
Yeah, no, I don't think we fully appreciate, as you're saying, the changes that the last 5 years have had, both through COVID, through other situations throughout the country and the world. A lot of challenges. That's why something so uplifting and tasty as a cake picnic is a sure winner, and can just see by here a little inkling of the incredible growth. Again, it's just hard to believe within a year what you've done already, and to see the planning already that you already have for these events well beyond the United States. Lisa, would you share a little bit about what the future looks like just in the immediate year or so?
Yes, so at least for this year, we've confirmed going to do a cake picnic in London, LA, and New York. I think the only new one this year is London that we haven't done yet. And so that is the first time that cake picnic will be going international. It's also on my birthday, so I'm really excited about that. But yes, we are still looking for venues for LA and New York. And so hopefully we can find something for that. And I think looking at this list for 2025, if we hit those cities, I think that will be an incredible tour. But as you can see, as you move down towards the future tour cities, these are the cities around the world that we hear from the most in our messages, emails. It's just the requests that we get. And so I think that is on our in our list and wish list for future tour stops that we would like to do.
Fabulous, fabulous. And if this isn't enough, the cake picnic and your other online ventures, I believe a book is in the works. Could you just share a little bit about this undertaking?
Yes, I think so many people are enamored and in love with the concept of idea of cake picnic. And so I think it's a great opportunity to share recipes, to enable people to bake more cakes and kind of have the recipes in their back pocket to bring to a cake picnic event. And so I'm so excited to put all of the cakes that I love into a book and share that with everyone. So no matter where you are in the world, you can bake these cake recipes and feel like you're a part of the cake picnic community.
Fabulous, fabulous. You know, we're very fortunate to have a couple of short clips just from the first cake picnic and one of the most recent ones. So we're going to roll it, enjoy seeing the people in action a bit, and feel free if you desire to offer any commentary. Incredible overview here of everything. Again, we get the experience of what it's like before people dive in.
Yeah, people ask me all the time which cake picnic tour stop is my favorite, and this first one is still my favorite out of all of them.
And what a glorious day for it, too. Mhm.
Yeah. I wish I could rewind and go back to this moment. It's beautiful.
And the second one we have, I believe, is the one that rather recently took place outside, and we'll go to it now.
Imagine going to
Mm,
a picnic with hundreds of kids.
yeah. This was
Oh,
our newest one in San Diego at the Flower Fields in Carlsbad. Yeah, this was a new venue for us. It was incredible. Again, another opportunity that was like, how can you say no to doing a cake picnic event at the flower fields? It's just super beautiful. And it was also our first time working with a sponsor. So Cotton helped us really make this event happen. And they had a lot of tote bags and caps for everyone. So you can see some of them in the videos.
and can definitely see what you were referring to, Danny, earlier of just adapting to totally different locations, situations, and not knowing what surprises are in store.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time. I want to thank both of you so much for being here, for informing us about Cake Picnic. I know myself and anybody watching can't wait to attend one. Continued success with future endeavors. We'll have your contact information so people can jump on a cake picnic that arises because I know they sell out almost instantaneously. But for now, just thanks again and all the best.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.